to have you all here. My name is Jamie Drag. I have lights, or you can be light. Now I can see all of you. So good morning, my name is Jamie Drag. I'm the director of the American Center. I know we have a select audience here today, but I'd still like to ask, just in case, for anyone here, raise your hand if this is your first time to the American Center. Anybody? I know I'm American. Wow, okay. I thought maybe you've all been here because it's a select group. Well, anyway, welcome back. A pleasure to have you all here today. Real pleasure today because to have you all here as part of the roundtable on heritage education for youth. This is a real unique partnership, which is part of something called the Communities Connecting Heritage Program. And a special guest, welcome our team from the U.S., from the Smithsonian. We have Betty Bellis, you can wait, and Maya Potter, and then the other members of the team, Ashley Martinez, wait, and Mars Jones, and Violetta Palchin. Violetta. All right, we'll work on that. Apologies. So the Communities Connecting Heritage Program was funded by the U.S. Department of State and is administered by World Learning, seeks to empower youth and build partnerships between communities in the U.S. and communities in other parts of the world through projects that explore cultural heritage topics. So the purpose of this program is to preserve both tangible and intangible cultural heritage appreciation, well, to preserve and to appreciate tangible and intangible culture. For us here, it's been very exciting and a privilege to be a part of this program between our friends at banglanafik.com. Thank you, Rania. And as I just introduced, all of our friends from the Smithsonian Center for Folklife Festival and the accompanying American students. This program has been unique, and we spent time with the team yesterday, and they explained, as you've seen if you saw some of the videos, they explained their journey and how it started at the, am I going to say, what was the name of the festival? The Sur Jahan Festival. And then they narrated how they saw so many types of music and culture there. And then before they went off into the villages with the artists, we snuck in a quick visit with our U.S. Ambassador, Kenneth Juster, who was here last week. Some of you may have seen some of the pictures with some of the paintings and the bow singers last week over at Baitani. I really enjoyed that. And the team just explained how they went through the various, learning about the various arts, the Patachitra village in Pingla, the Terracotta in Vishnupur, the Dobra in Bigna and Bankura, and the famous bow village of Joydev. The team really enjoyed their experience. I guess short and sweet, but they packed in a lot and got to experience some of West Bengal's finest culture. And of course, they might be mad at me, but they also explained that in sharing culture, they managed to do a beautiful rendition of Little Red Riding Hood, I'm told, as well as singing one of our patriotic songs, This Land is Your Land. So I'll just leave it there, but hey, that's all about cultural exchange. And if they want to say more about that, they can. But one of the students mentioned yesterday, at the end of the day, it's all about people-to-people connections, and that is really the nature of a lot of what we do here in the American Center, is bringing people together and helping people understand that we're all here together and the sharing and preserving appreciation and preserving cultures. Doesn't get much better than that. So let's make today a celebration of sharing and culture. Let's have fun. We welcome your insights. And so without further ado, I will stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jay Trebor, who's going to introduce, so we'll finish off the formalities and we'll hear from our team from the U.S. in just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. My name is Jay Trebor. I'm the Deputy Director here. So just enjoy yourselves and please be curious. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Betty Bellis, who is the educational specialist at the Smithsonian, Center, and Ananya Bhattacharya, the director of Contact Base and Banganatak.com, to give us a brief introduction, and then we're going to move on to our American guests and artists, and they're going to talk to you about their experiences.
Good morning to everyone. As many of you are aware, Banganatak.com's initiative Art for Life aspires to synergize cultural and economic development, and since 2005 we have been developing rural craft and cultural hubs where traditional communities are capacitated through skills transmission, through market promotion and direct market linkage to become grassroots micro-entrepreneurs. When we were first informed about the Communities Connecting Heritage program, we learned that the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage, they do a wonderful festival, and the theme of the festival this year is also community-based cultural industries. So that led to a lot of discussions, and Betty and I kind of thought that this was an opportune moment and to facilitate exchange between young cultural professionals in US and our young artist community. So that is in short the background of the initiative, Learning Together Towards a Brighter Future. So in the past few days, from 2nd of February, they have been going around and they'll be sharing their story, and then we'll have lots of discussion on heritage, on education, and on tools. That is the goal of today's program. And over to Betty.
So this project, which we've kind of like shorthanded as CCH Learning Together, was the first opportunity we've had to actually bring a group of our interns, who are the future cultural leaders of our country, really, on this kind of overseas exchange. And we've had just a very rich experience that we're still processing in our heads, thanks to what has been set up by our partners, Contact Base. It's been an incredible opportunity for us to extend our work past Washington, D.C., and to have brought this extraordinary group of young women to West Bengal for cultural exchange. And I think this experience will add to their education and what they will take forward into their careers in very interesting and fruitful ways. The discussion will continue via a virtual exchange as well, which we will do with the artists and with a wider group of interns at our office, virtual interns. So without further ado, I can't wait for you all to hear what the interns and the artists have to say about the experience. And I just want to say that I'm as proud as a peacock of these smart and accomplished young women who are here with us.
So now I'm going to pass it over to Ananya. I would ask each intern or artist to speak for about 5 minutes, and that'll leave about 8 to 10 minutes at the end for questions. And if there's a burning question, let's ask it. But in general, the people will speak, and then we'll do questions at the end. Please.
Thank you. We'll start with Martinez. So over to her.
Today is actually a really important holiday where I come from. Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday in French, and I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, which is a large cultural hub in the United States. Where I come from has influences from indigenous cultures, from African cultures, and from European cultures. And one of the things that really struck me when I came here was how the things that are so essential to where I'm from, food, music, the environment, all play a really big role here in West Bengal. And are really important parts of what it means to not only create cultural heritage, but maintain it going forward into the future. One of the things that struck me when I first arrived was that I'm from the Mississippi River Delta, and the Mississippi River is one of the biggest rivers in the world, definitely the biggest in the US. And I've come here to the land of the Ganges, and to be able to cross it for me was a really meaningful experience. And I've also seen the Nile, so having seen 3 really major world rivers was an incredible experience. And I think part of that is because in New Orleans and Louisiana more broadly, we are very focused on how to live with water. A lot of our food is based on what we can catch in the Gulf of Mexico, and also in Lake Pontchartrain. We are surrounded by water on all sides, including the Mississippi River. So I really felt like I connected with Bengali food because of the amount of fish that you all eat here. Machbat was like every day, and I was super happy to eat it. My family is actually originally from the Bahamas. My father is from the US, he's from New Orleans, but my mom is from the Bahamas. So I'm a first-generation American as well as a multi-generation American. And so I grew up in many ways with the legacies of British colonialism. So that as well, when we were touring Calcutta, was really interesting for me to see the influence that it had on the architecture here. Speaking specifically to the art forms that we encountered here, New Orleans is the home of jazz, and Louisiana is the home of Zydeco music, which I'm sure most people know jazz or have heard jazz before, and know that it is a really soulful music. It is a music that expresses not only what people are feeling inside, but also how they are interacting with the world around them. And I really felt with my experience with the Bowls, enjoyed them, really connected me in a way that I didn't expect. And I'm so grateful that you opened your community to us to come and sit with you and to play with you. That really meant a lot to me. And just to close, I think I want to reflect on my experience when I was visiting the Patachikra village, Pingla. The storytelling is a really important part of it's an African American tradition. We have people in our communities called griots or storytellers who sort of keep the stories of our people and share them with others. And I felt really connected with that when I went to Pingla. But it wasn't until I came across a copy of a book focused specifically on the story of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement in the US. As a Black person who has experienced discrimination, and as the daughter of a man who lived through the civil rights movement and segregation in the US, my father was born in 1940, and he was there at the March on Washington, and he heard Martin Luther King speak. For me, I was so moved when I got to meet the artist who depicted the life of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. And I felt very fitting because this month, February, is also Black History Month in the United States. So I think with that, I will say that I've learned so much and felt that there were so many opportunities for me to connect on an individual level with many of the artists and local people here. And I look forward to continuing this exchange in the future.
Thank you. We'll now move over to Shomna.
নমস্কার, আমার নাম সোমনাথ কর্মকার। আমি বিজ্ঞান ডোকরাগ্রাম থেকে এসেছি। এই 8 তারিখে যে স্মিথসোনিয়ান গ্রুপ আমাদের পাড়ায় গ্রামে এসেছিল এবং তাদের কাছ থেকে যেসব আইডিয়া পেয়েছি, যেমন আমাদের মিউজিয়ামটাকে আরও কীভাবে উন্নত করতে পারি। যেমন আমাদের যে মিউজিয়ামের প্রোডাক্টগুলো রাখা হয়েছে, সেই প্রত্যেকটা প্রোডাক্টের নেম প্লেট বানানো, যেমন তার নাম, কে বানিয়েছে, তার হিস্ট্রি কী, সেসব সম্বন্ধে। এছাড়াও আমরা তাদের কাছ থেকে আইডিয়া পেয়েছি যে আমাদের ডোকরা গ্রামে যেসব আর্টিস্ট ভালো পুরস্কারপ্রাপ্ত, তাদের কাছ থেকে কিছু রেকর্ডিং করে রাখা, যে এই কাজের সম্বন্ধে তাদের হিস্ট্রি। এবং আমরা এখন ফেসবুকের মাধ্যমে আমাদের ডোকরাটাকে আরও বেশি প্রচার করছি, যেমন বিদেশের আমেরিকান গ্রুপের সাথে কিছু জয়েন আছে, যেমন আমরা তাদের সাথে চ্যাট করি, এই নিয়ে কথা বলেছি।
Shomnath is a dokra maker, and what he shared, that not only they explained that making process of that wonderful craft which you can see there, but they also got new ideas from the team which visited. They shared how they can say the stories of the exhibits in the museum, and how they can record about the living treasures, the living gurus in the village. Plus, he's very excited that they are chatting with you over virtual exchange and looks forward to more conversation. Okay, so now we'll move to Violeta.
Jai Guru. Hi, I'm Violeta Palchik. So I guess first I'll tell you a little about myself. I come from a mix of backgrounds. I'm an Argentine immigrant to the United States. I'm also Jewish. I'm also from the Washington, D.C. area and a New Yorker. So for me, identity and like belonging to a place is kind of a complex issue. But I feel like what it has done for me is it has allowed me to sort of exist with many different people in many different places and really be sort of flexible to that and understanding that. And so that's sort of what inspired me in studying anthropology and now folklore, and in trying to sort of help, especially in our country where we have so much diversity and so many different communities, to help them to understand each other in certain ways. For me in particular, food is the way that I like to connect people. I think everybody eats and everybody loves to eat, so it's an easy way to connect. When growing up, I think I always noticed the everyday, and that's why I studied folklore. It's the understanding of everyday things that maybe we take for granted sometimes, how we tie our hair, or, how we say hello, how we, eat, how we play music, how we talk to each other. And so I think sometimes we overlook those things and we get scared when other people do it differently from us. And I think lots of times really we do things in a very similar way. It's just superficially different. So for me, this trip was really interesting because I'm in graduate school trying to learn the best way to sort of represent a culture in a way that's ethical and effective, so that we can learn to have a dialogue, a conversation, and understand each other. So I felt like through our trip we did that many times, and sometimes through conversations, sometimes you don't need words, sometimes through music with the ballad musicians, we felt their spirituality and the beauty of their world. Watching the sunset over mustard fields, hanging out together, playing their bells with them, just like sitting in a circle and speaking through music. Even though I have no musical talent, you can ask these guys. I appreciate it and I love it, and it was nice to be a part of it. For me, I jumped into the kitchen where we were staying too, and they were shocked because they weren't used to people coming in. They're like, what are you looking at? What do you want here? And sort of explaining that I wanted to learn, and doing what we called food jam with Manosh, where we cooked together sort of like a music jam session, but a food jam session, and making food that was inspired by each other and our cultures and our flavors. I felt was really amazing. And then I really loved, this was another one where you didn't really need words to communicate, but hanging out with the children in the Patachitra village, and they were so affectionate and warm with us. The second we got there, this little boy just grabbed my arm and started hugging it. And then I have a niece and a nephew, and I played with them and I tossed them up in the air, and I was doing that with him and he loved it. All little kids like to be swung around. They like using people as a jungle gym. So I thought just like connecting in these ways where, it was things we do every day at home and things that are done every day here, and that we could kind of combine and bring together. For me, what's important is hearing everybody's voice, meeting the children and seeing how they live their lives, meeting the people in the kitchen making our food, meeting musicians, like really learning not just their craft, but who they are as a whole person, and what their craft and their art means to them. So in conclusion, I feel like this trip has been very impactful, and I think that I've learned both about the pros and the cons of the work that Contact Base does, and I think I've learned a lot about Bengali culture and like really thinking about Bengali culture as opposed to, I think before I came here thinking like I was coming to India, but this is Bengal. And so I think what I've learned from this will inform my future work as a folklorist and how I think about cultural representation. ধন্যবাদ।
থ্যাংক ইউ। ওরা বললো যে তোমাদের গ্রামে গিয়ে যে শুধু তোমাদের কাজ না, বাচ্চারা ওদের সাথে যে ঘুরেছে, পরের গ্রামের কথা বললো, সেটা খুব ভালো লেগেছে, খাবারগুলো ভালো লেগেছে, আর গানের কথা তো বললোই। So since they have been sharing about the Baul songs, we'll now hear from Shadhu, his experience.
নমস্কার, আমি সাধু দাস, বাড়ি জয়দেব কেন্দ্রলি। তো এই যে আমেরিকার এই দলটি যেদিন আমাদের ওখানে যায়, সেদিনকে আমাদের যে ন্যাচারাল ভাবে যে বাউল গান যেসব চর্চা হয়, সেরকম জায়গায় এদেরকে গান বাজনা শোনালাম অজয় নদীর একদম তীরে। এবং এদের যাওয়াতে শুধু আমাদের সম্মান নয় এবং আমাদের গ্রামেরও সম্মান বাড়ে, যে বাইরে থেকে লোকজন যখন আসে আমাদের এই যে বাউল গান এরকম যাওয়া আসা হলে আর কি আস্তে আস্তে এরকম ব্যাপার আর কি। আর তারপর একসাথে ওদের সাথে আমরাও একটা কোলাবোরেশন করলাম, ওদের দেশের একটা বিরাট বড় আর্টিস্টের গানটা।
They really enjoyed your trip, and they felt that it kind of enhanced the respect for each other, not only respect for Baul music but for the village also, because you people all visited their village, and he enjoyed the collaboration and listening to you about your music. Thank you. Okay, so now our next speaker is Ashley.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Martinez. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. During my time at school I studied international studies and religion, and I just hope that you all can see from the selection of young women that were picked to take on this project that there's an incredible diversity in the United States. And you know, we're just three, but there are so many other cultures and religions and ways of thinking that are represented there as well. And I hope that you all get to really dive into that while visiting us. I'll tell you a little bit about my part as a New Mexican. So I'm part of a really rich culture that focuses on family, food, the building arts, music, and traditional craft. I live in a minority-majority state, so the majority of people in my area are either Hispanic or Native American. And this has added a lot to who we are and how we view diversity, because there are sovereign nations that are speckled within our state. Unlike West Bengal, I come from a desert community. So while you will have plentiful water and fish, I have very, very dry climate and a lot of beans, pinto beans in particular. So it was really nice to come here and to see something so different. For me, eating fish is not something I do often, so I really enjoyed it. And for me, that was one of the biggest leads into the culture, because not only did I view the environment, I viewed the food that nourishes all of you. In particular, I have many interests involved with Spanish traditional craft, including retablo making. And with this in mind, I went into the Patachicha village, a village of storytellers, and was really interested in how they depicted deities and how they depicted everyday life. And I became very interested in having a collaboration, something that maybe we could really have a cultural exchange in. So along with Ananya, we are going to be working on them creating a retablo-inspired piece. So with this in mind, I'm thinking a lot of what sustainability means, and basically what I've taken from this experience is that you all are extremely committed to taking your crafts into the future. And I admire that immensely. That's something I will take back to my community and that I will share with traditional craftspeople. Because the models that you've created, while they are unique, they may have a place in the rest of the world. And it's something that we can all build upon. And I just want to thank you for hosting us, and I want to just thank you for sharing.
থ্যাংক ইউ অ্যাশলি। অ্যাশলি বললো যে তোমাদের পটের গ্রামটার কত ভালো লেগেছে, তোমরা যেভাবে গল্পগুলো বলো, আর ওদের একটা হিস্প্যানিক ট্র্যাডিশন আছে, ওরা চায় পরে ওই নিয়ে কোলাবোরেশন করবে, আর অন্যদের গ্রামেও আর্টের কাজ ওদের খুব ভালো লেগেছে, আর পরে কি করে এটাকে আরো তুলে ধরা যায় এই নিয়ে আমরা যখন তোমরা ভার্চুয়াল এক্সচেঞ্জ করবে আরো ভাববে। ওকে, নাও উইল মুভ ওভার টু কল্লোল।
Good morning, everybody. I am Kolkata Bhattacharya from Bardhaman. I established a theatre group in '94 in my village named Satkahunia in the district Bardhaman. Ebongamra is the name of our theatre group. 30 members of our group mostly comes from the local underprivileged community and from the tribal community. Our group Ebongamra has developed a theatre village on 4-acre land in the village Satkahunia. This is the one and only theatre village cum rural cultural center in West Bengal. We run various training, workshops, seminars, festivals in our campus, and we are running poultry, fishery, agricultural activities to generate income for our regular artists. Last 9th February, the Smithsonian group visited our theatre village, and on that day we arranged a performance, a theatre performance for them, and also they arranged a short performance for us, and we have discussed lot of things, mainly how we can develop our campus as a complete cultural center, and we have discussed how we can run a regular training for our rural children, school children, for the children who are coming from the tribal community, from the underprivileged community, and we are interested to sharing our experience, our dreams with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All of the in-person exchange team, they've mentioned Patachitra, and we have Shonali here, so she wants to have a word.
আমি সোনালী চিত্রকর, পশ্চিম মেদিনীপুর পিংলা নয়া গ্রাম থেকে এসেছি। আমি ফটোর গান গাই এবং ছবি আঁকি। এনারা আমাদের গ্রামে গিয়েছিলেন, আমাদের ভীষণ ভালো লেগেছে। ওনাদের একটা গল্প বলেছে আমাদেরকে, আর আমরা একটা গল্প বলেছি ওদেরকে। তো ওনারা বলেছেন যে ওদের গল্পটা আমরা পট বানিয়ে ওদেরকে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপের মাধ্যমে ছবি পাঠাবো, ওনারা আমাদেরকে আবার পাঠাবে, কেমন লেগেছে সব বলবেন। তো ওনাদেরকে আমরা ন্যাচারাল কালার দেখিয়েছি, শিখিয়েছি, গান শুনিয়েছি, আমাদের খুব ভালো লেগেছে।
So Shonali said they're really nice and they explain natural color and have sung songs and have told stories, and you have also told very interesting stories, and they look forward to developing a scroll together with you. Okay, now I'll ask Orpon to share about the good journey.
Yeah, good morning everyone. All of them has shared their own feelings, their own experience. I just want to share two things which I have noticed from myself. One, Betty has shared an excellent story with Patachitra artists about the Washington DC Mall, on which they are going to develop a scroll painting, and we will share the development process in our virtual exchange with them. So they are very excited to do that. They will make the song and everything. And next on 8th we visited Joydev Kenduli, where, and on, okay, I'm quite loud, I think. on that day, that was Maya's birthday, so we celebrated that in our own way. We have gifted her some mustard flower from the mustard field, and Shadhu, Kangal, all of them has played Happy Birthday in their dotara, and they have sing a song of Udi Guthrie, which we all jammed together. Violetta was there with the bells, and we enjoyed the entire trip a lot. Even she and Manoj, they cooked very well. We enjoyed the food too. So that was the, we called it food jamming. So that was the entire experience of our trip. So we are really looking forward for the future exchange programs. Thank you.
Apart from these visits, I also went to Vishnupur and also went to Shantiniketan and Vishwabharati. So would you like to say anything on that? And for the rest of you, if you have any questions for them.
I just wanted to say that a lot of cultural sharing happened in the van because we were in that van for a really long time, hours and hours. So we were sharing music that we, were able to tap into from these young women's devices. So and Arpan and Manash were sharing some music with us that they had along, and Kajol too. And to me, that time too was really important for our both teams to learn from one another.
I work as a product assistant at the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage in Washington, D.C. And the department I work for is smaller and newer, and we work only on cultural sustainability. So we have projects. We work on international projects. We will be starting some domestic ones as well, but we work on projects in Western China with Tibetan communities. We're working in Armenia, and we're also about to start a project in Bhutan. So I'll be there actually later this year. And we work with communities to sustain the culture that matters to them, whether that's language or craft or music. A lot of the work that we do is community driven. So partnership is key. And we sort of do this work in a number of ways. There's documentation, market access, festivals and museum work, as Betty was saying, capacity building, trainings, and then a big part of it's also voice and visibility. So highlighting, supporting the careers of artists and culture bearers from around the world through the festival, through articles written on our Folklife magazine, our online magazine. So we're busy. But we are, I think cultural sustainability, a lot of the conversation has been in the past about cultural preservation, but we think about it a little differently, about cultural sustainability, because there's always an interaction between the past, the present, and the future. And artists like, Shonali or our bowel friends as well are always making different, or our theater friends are always making very specific choices about how to connect with people today, and what to draw from the past, and what to bring to the future. And so we're really inspired by those conversations, and we know that tradition is not a stagnant thing. So that's been a really amazing thing to learn from everyone here. And may I speak for just a moment about my own experience? So this is my first time to Bengal, but not to India. So my mom is from Gujarat, and my dad is from Connecticut. Before coming, I heard again and again, oh, Bengalis are so cultured, and it's so culturally rich. But I wondered, I was like, what does it mean to be cultured? Like, we all have culture, so how can you be rich in culture? How can you have more culture? And so I've been asking everyone, but also then I started thinking, well, I was like, what is culture? I think I know what it is, but what is it, and why does it matter? And I think for those of us who work in this sector, we feel very passionate about it, but why is it important? So after being here, I think Bengal gets its reputation. This is my guess because of its strong engagement with culture on a day-to-day basis. And I see that from the work that Bangla Natak does, but you also see that with from our friends and colleagues at Bangladesh, Orpan and Manoj are always, they know so many songs, and every occasion we'll bring up a song. It'll be a Baul song or a Tagore song, or just walking around the streets, sort of seeing all the incredible institutions that have shaped not only Bengal but India and the world. So I think that yes, we are all culture bearers, but as Americans, we come from a country that's rich in cultural heritage and has incredible diversity. But I think that what I've learned here is just that to recognize the role, to embrace the role of a culture bearer, and to value it. So I'm very grateful for that. And then in terms of why culture matters, I'm not sure, but I think I had a professor that said that culture is a transversal element, and this is what Violetta was talking about before. But it's so if language is not just how we communicate; it's our poems and our literature, and craft is not just beautiful; it's also the material. It's what's around us, in our homes and what we wear, and music is not just sort of beautiful to listen to, but it connects us to the divine and to bigger philosophies. And so for me, that's what I've learned here. And I think that we can't see our own culture until we start engaging with someone else's, and then all of a sudden we can see our own, their own, and our common humanity. So I'll just say one more thing, which was that at the Bhattachitura village, it was where we were all very inspired. But I realized that painting is not just about a beautiful picture. It's not just pretty. It's that the artist has a very important job. And we listen to the stories of Manisha and Radhakrishna, Mahabharata, and all these sort of Hindu mythological stories. But what impacted me in particular was the tsunami story, because that's one that we all know all over the world. And so to see these paintings and hear these songs about people drowning in the water, helicopters coming to rescue them, and to see the tsunami as a demon face, it was pretty amazing, because it reflected all of our humanity back to us. Our life, our death, our love, our marriage, pain, joy, loss, these anyone can connect to. And then all of a sudden I started seeing Radhakrishna differently, even though I don't know that story very well, but I knew that same humanity was in all of those. So there is an eternal story there. So I just want to say thank you so much to Bangladesh, to Ananya, to Shalini, Orpan, Manoj, Shreya, Shubhasi. It's been in the space of 2 weeks. We've seen so much, and this is an incredible opportunity we've been given, and I feel incredibly grateful for these gifts, really, that you've given us. So, আমার খুব ভালো লেগেছে,